problem of ballooning deficits returns whenever Republicans enjoy complete control of the political branches. This is one of the great ironies of our political rhetoric. When they are in control, the budget deficits soar, and it's the Democrats who always bring the deficits down. This year, they passed the obscenely ugly profligate law, which will add a jaw-dropping $4 trillion to the national debt because of its giveaways for corporations with political insider influence and billionaires, at the same time that they're stripping health insurance and food assistance from tens of millions of Americans to offset just a small part of the enormous cost of the tax breaks that they cut for wealthy elites.
It's not surprising to me that our colleagues across the aisle are not in favor of a balanced budget amendment. It would obviously stop them from spending money on their top priorities, but which we've learned this year, things like transgender surgeries for foreigners, DEI scholarships in foreign countries, left-wing media outlets like NPR and PBS, would stop them from funding the NGO industrial complex that's facilitated mass migration into our country, and all of the various other wasteful government programs that we've been fighting to slash over the past year since I've been in Congress, at least. Those are precisely the types of programs that I would like to see cut, and why, amongst other reasons, I think that a balanced budget would in fact be prudent. You know, every dollar that we spend right now above what we take in revenue is money that our children and grandchildren are going to have to pay back. And I, for one, don't want to, and I don't think that it is in any way moral to saddle my children, my son or my daughter, with debt to finance ridiculous programs as we have been. And during that time, we've also seen spending balloon and revenue not be able to keep up, of course. That's resulted in nearly a doubling of the deficit in 6 years. One of the things that we worked on as part of the tax package that we passed earlier this year was reducing wasteful spending. We cut spending by $1.5 trillion, the biggest mandatory spending reduction in our country's history. Would love to hear your thoughts on the work that we did as part of that spending reduction. What portions of that do you think were the most beneficial?
It's a little difficult for me to choose just one piece of it that was the most beneficial, but I do think that there were some significant wins. As we mentioned, we prevented a tax hike on the American people and specifically working families, so I would be remiss not to mention that. But in terms of your question on cuts, we eliminated $1.5 trillion in federal spending. That's going to reduce inflation significantly. One of the pieces of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that I am most in favor of is that we really started refocusing Medicaid on the vulnerable populations. And that included reforms that reduced the ability of Medicaid dollars, federal dollars from taxpayers, of course it's the taxpayers' money, not the government's, from going toward illegal immigrants. We also ensured that those who can work must work in order to access Medicaid dollars. That's really important, not just in terms of our fiscal health as a nation, but because these programs were designed as safety net programs for the most vulnerable, and this helps refocus them.